right, welcome back to another edition of our tag management tips. Today we're going to be talking about tags and data security. So why should you be concerned about data security? And then also exactly how do tags play into that? How can they potentially run you afoul of any different sorts of laws, as well as your own internal policies? And then what you need to be looking for and how you need to be addressing those different things. So first, why is it important? Well, why do we care about data security? Obviously, number one top reason would be laws and regulations. If we are a site, for example, operating within the EU, and we are tracking and placing cookies on a user that is trying to opt out or has not opted in many cases, to our tracking, that's going to run us afoul of the law, and then we are at fault. We also, depending upon the industry and the audience for your website and what exactly you're doing, you might be under different types of regulations such as HIPAA or COPA. This is for healthcare and this is for children, so behavioral tracking of any child under the age of 13. And many other laws and regulations that might cause some sort of a limit to the amount of data that you can be collecting and what sort of data you can be collecting for users on your website. In addition, we also have, you might be saying to yourself, I don't have these laws, I don't operate in Europe, I'm not worried about that, tracking is fine. But you also have, from the business standpoint, the potential issue of data leakage. And when we talk about data leakage, that means your information about your users and their behavior on your website leaking and getting out of your ecosystem and what you're aware of, and that information potentially getting to competitors. I mean, think about, for the sole kind of first, just the cost. How much is being invested in acquisition? All that spend on media, putting banners in front of people on different websites, remarketing to them on their social media platforms, that's a massive, massive cost. The advertising industry globally is huge, one of the largest. So that cost, if the data that you're able to collect and the type of behavioral information and preference information, what type of products are being viewed by some of these different users, who they are, what type of content they're looking at, if that can be leaked to a third party that you might not even be aware of and then sold to your competitors, a massive, massive advantage that you have and that you've already invested in is out the window. In addition, you have to factor in data sharing agreements. So what are you comfortable sharing with third parties? What are your users comfortable with one sharing with you as a website? They might trust you, you're a known brand, but some other third party that's loading on the website and then selling that to someone else, that trust might not be there, and that's going to be a direct reflection on your website. And then as well as that user data. So user data leaking, which could run you afoul of laws and regulations, as well as your own internal policies and process. So how does this happen, and what does this have to do with tags? Now, tags are the vehicle for collecting information on your website. So as we've discussed in some of our previous episodes here and previous tips of how tags work and exactly what they're doing, they're running on your website, collecting information, and then sending it off to various different platforms and different third parties. Now, you might think that you're aware of all the different tags that are collecting information on your site and be aware of what exactly is being collected. But a majority of the time, we're running across different sites where they don't really know exactly what's going on. And what I have drawn out here is a typical tag hierarchy that we see, so loading behavior. So you have your site here, and you might be loading directly from your page source, a number of different tags, and then you might be working with, say, a tag management system where you're managing other tags. Well, some of those other tags that you have on your website are loading in or piggybacking additional tags onto their website. And now those that are then being introduced, not through your own implementation, but because they are associated and embedded in the code for others, now have access to that user data and behavioral data on your website. It's these guys that you really have to worry about. One, you need to have visibility into what they are, what exactly they're doing. But two, have these data sharing agreements in place so that they can't be collecting information and selling that off and benefiting your competitors, potentially. So that's how tags play into this. That's how tags are collecting that information, exactly what they need to do and things to look out for. Primarily, you just need to be looking at and be aware of all the different tags and platforms that are on your site. Be aware of exactly what they're doing, what data points are being collected, and what that function is. If you don't need them, get rid of them. And if you don't even know that it's there, let's start addressing some of those potential issues that could be there. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully this was helpful in discussing tags and data security.